I am finally here to bring you all a Pandora Hearts Volume 2 manga volume review. It's been highly requested. I've seen a bunch of Chibits in the past couple weeks asking me to continue my reviews of Pandora Hearts, and I am here to bring you a volume review of Part 2. Now, to do a brief quick summary before I dive into this review, I'm just going to give everybody up to speed if you did not see my Volume 1 review. I have watched the anime of Pandora Hearts, so I know of the stuff that is taking place in this manga at the moment. I do know, however, that the manga and anime completely diverged from each other, I think around volume 6 or 7. And it's one of those volumes, because I was told in the comments when I did my volume 1 review of Pandora Hearts. And so today I'm here to bring you another volume review of Pandora Hearts. And if you've yet to start this series, just go watch my Volume 1 review and you can see my first impressions of it and talking about it and stuff like that to break it down and what the series is about. And so let's dive into this Volume review. Now, one thing I want to say is, it feels like I'm going down memory lane. When I sit down and I'm actually reading this volume, it's like I'm taking a time machine back into the past just to see such a great series in manga format, because I remember when I started this series, it was, because of anime, and I'm finally sitting down to read the manga. It feels like I'm just going back in time, because I now realize why I love this series so much. I said it in my previous video, I love this series, but actually reading the events once again and seeing the setup with the characters to, Oz as the MC, to Alice as our main female character, and, all these other characters like Break and, Gil. I mean, there's great characters in this volume, in this series already, and it's making me realize why I wanted to come back to this series and actually give it some reviews. So, to get into some details, this volume sets up multiple things. Multiple things get set up with this volume. For one thing, right off the bat, to get it out of the way, we come to find out that Oz, since he is an illegal contractor, he has a time limit. And this time limit is something that will kill him. Or not necessarily, I guess, completely kill him, but it'll drag him into the abyss and lock him away, and you can kind of say he's dead after that, because he's locked in the abyss. He'll just be dragged down by his illegal contract because of Alice when he made his contract with her in Volume 1. And this is the fate of all illegal contractors. As time slowly passes and ticks down, depending on months to years, whatever, however it takes. It wasn't specifically given how long it would take if just time passed, but eventually you will be dragged down. And so at the moment, there is two main goals that are being sought after in the series, like two end games. For one thing, Alice needs to get her memories. Like, Alice is trying to find her memories, get her memories back, and see what happened. Like, that's what she wants. She's hunting down her memories in the real world. And then you also have it to where Oz is trying to figure out a way to where his illegal contract with Alice won't drag them both down and just destroy them to where they can never leave the abyss. Those are the two end games that have kind of been introduced and kind of been set up more, and there's actually one other end game, I guess you can say, that's for the other organizations in the series to capture and obtain the intention of the abyss. And this is the huge role that this volume tries to play. It mentions the intention of the abyss multiple times throughout this volume, and it sets up for one of the main antagonists of the series from what I can see. The intention of the abyss, from what we found out, is supposedly like a core. It's a core that is inside of the abyss, the main center, the main core of the abyss, and supposedly this core is malfunctioning. It is having a breakdown, and this core can make more chains. And the goal and objective of the Baskervilles, I think that's how you say it, Baskervilles or Baskervilles or whatever, I hope I'm saying that right, but the Baskervilles and Pandora are trying to capture and obtain the intention of the abyss. And from what we can see, from what brief glimpses we had of this abyss, of the intention of the abyss, we see a rabbit, this white rabbit floating and questioning Oz. And obviously from this segment in this volume, there is an obvious connection to Oz and the abyss. And we don't really know why. It's not really explained why this intention of the abyss is just so infatuated with Oz, because it was asking Oz to give up Alice. Like, hey, give up Alice and come with me. Choose me. Choose me. Why would something so important, like the intention of the abyss, that is the core of the abyss, that makes chains, want Oz? Why? And we do know in the first volume that was set up, Oz's sin of why he was casted down into the abyss was because he was born. So, Oz's sin, and the reason why he was cast in the abyss was because he was born, but what is he? Like, I mean, is he something different entirely as a person? I mean, he is our MC, so he has to be something very special, but the question is like, why do both sides, Pandora and the Baskervilles, want Oz? Like, why does he need to go into the abyss and capture the intention of the abyss? Why does he need to do that? Like, what objective? Is it because the abyss just wants him for some reason? I mean, what? Now, besides that, there is a connection from what we can see and witnessed in this volume. There's a connection between B-Rabbit or Alice and the abyss. I'm just going to call it abyss or short instead of calling it the intention of the abyss. It's just very fucking easier to say. Alice's connection with the abyss, we see a connection, because Alice starts talking to the abyss in her mind. We see a panel, let me see if I can find it. You see a specific panel where Alice is just laying down, like yeah, here it is, I want to do a quote. "See, I told you so. Now you should understand, no matter where you go, you'll always be alone." And you have it to where Alice says, "Shut up, intention of the abyss." So there's a connection right there. Alice knows of this intention of the abyss, and obviously they've had a one-on-one conversation or something, because the abyss is talking about, like, they know each other really well, saying, like, you'll always be alone, why are you trying to get out of the abyss, why you connected with Oz, and there's some obvious setup right there with some foreshadowing for probably the future endgame of the series, so I just wanted to talk about that real quick. Now that we move past that, let's talk about the connection between Gilbert and Oz. That is one of the main central points of this volume. Gilbert and Oz have this relationship, which has been kind of straightforward since the first volume. Like, it was easy to understand. They had this connection. Gil and Oz, you know, when Gil got hurt and slashed and Oz got betrayed and, you know, Oz got dragged down in the abyss in volume 1, you obviously saw there was a connection between those two. They had a very good connection, and in Volume 2, it dives into this and gives more characterization for both of these characters to see what type of connection they really had before all shit went down in the beginning Volume 1 of Pandora Hearts. And Gil made a promise to Oz. Gil made a promise saying that he will never betray his master or ever hurt his master. And from what we witnessed in the first volume, Gil did, you could say, he betrayed his master. Even though he didn't do it willingly, he was forced, he was controlled by a chain, he still, you can consider he did betray his master. So he was pained by this, like, he was pained by this burden that was on his shoulders throughout this volume and last volume, and he didn't know what he really wanted to say to Oz. Like, he didn't want to reveal his identity, he didn't want to reveal that 10 years had passed, not just a couple days. He didn't want to actually say this to Oz, because he didn't want to actually, I guess, say any words. Like, he wanted to be sorry, but he didn't want to say sorry, or, you know, he just had all these conflicting emotions where he didn't know what to say. Like, I mean, if you were to sit there and betray someone, and let's say you accidentally cut someone, and all of a sudden, you know, maybe 5 to 7 years fucking pass down the road, and you finally see this person, and they don't recognize you, but you recognize them, of course it's going to be very awkward. You might not want to reveal your identity to that person if you caused them some form of pain in many years ago. Get my point I'm getting at. So that connection right there, finding out about their promise to, you know, how Oz would protect Gil, Gil would protect Oz, and we come to find out also, Gil has no memories of his past. Like, he also has no memories. There's also a correlation between Alice and Gil, because Alice doesn't remember any of her memories. That's what was said, and, you know, the setup from the last volume. She doesn't remember any of her memories, and she's going around hunting down her memories for these different fragments. But with that, Gil also lost his memories, which is very strange. He supposedly wound up inside of the garden, or, you know, the front yard of Oz's house, and then they took him in, and then, you know, we've known Gil ever since. He's been a butler or servant for Oz, and, you know, trying to protect Oz as much as he can, and Oz protecting him. So, once again, more setup for that segment. Now, I want to talk about Oz's character. That is something I really never realized much when I watched the anime, because I was very young at the time when I watched Pandora Hearts, and I wasn't at the time really good at understanding certain themes or how fucked up certain characters were at that time. I really wasn't at that time. And now actually reading this volume and seeing Oz firsthand and what type of person he is with his personality and psyche, I can now truly understand what Break meant when I watched the anime of how he's a twisted kid. He's broken, he's fucked up. I can understand now why Break said that to Oz. Oz, he has a dark side to him. He has a very dark side to him. When he's talking to the attention of the Abyss, when he has this, like, little fragment dream or whatever, when he sees the Abyss with the little white bunny, and it's telling, you know, Oz to give up Alice and choose her or him or whoever, you see the point to where Oz grabs the rabbit like a hug, like this little doll rabbit. And he puts on this innocent face, this sweet, innocent face that just looks like it's kind-hearted. Like, you would never think this boy would do what he was about to do. As soon as he puts on that smile and that face, he shoots and kills the little toy doll rabbit. That was the intention of the Abyss, with a smile on his face. Did I forget to mention Oz is kind of a young kid? What the fuck happened to him to twist him into that type of personality? He showed a very twisted side, especially with how he acted when, you know, with Gil and all that, when he was remembering the past and he felt like he was upset. Like, you see how he was about to cry and stuff, and then all of a sudden he changed, he started smiling, and he acted to Gil like, oh, I was just playing, and all that. You don't really know how to take that. And instantly, Break noticed that how fucked up Oz was. To be able to swap his persona that fast, like from a happy mode to a sad mode to a sad mode to a happy mode, how he was able to do that and get accustomed to so many things at once, it's very strange. And this has been popping up constantly since Volume 1. As we know from Volume 1, when Oz got dragged into the Abyss, Alice asked him a question, asked him, man, you've gotten used to this for a kid that just got dragged into the Abyss for the first time. I mean, usually people be fucking screaming and running around with their heads cut off, I mean, if they were in this type of situation, but you're acting like it's fine. You're just eating a jar of cookies. I think it was a jar of cookies he was eating, and it just goes to show you his type of personality. So obviously being dragged into the Abyss did not cause this. Like, whatever happened to Oz in the past, it wasn't being dragged into the Abyss that really fucked him up. It was something else. What caused it? And that is majority of the setup of this volume that's taking place, besides Break's death being foreshadowed. Now, I don't know if Break is going to live or not, but from this volume, I completely forgot about Break having a time limit. Supposedly, he's going to be dying in about a year's time. That's not long. That's not fucking long. So, if I was a betting man, if I'm correct, this series is 120-something chapters. I think it is. It's like 121 chapters or something around there. If I was a betting man, I want to say that the entire time span of this series is probably going to last an entire year. If I was a betting man. Like, if Break is going to die, I'm going to assume he's probably going to die towards the end of the series, or maybe in the middle of the series. One or the other. Because he's a very important character. From the way he's been set up, the way he was introduced, the way he acts, the way he, you know, has this confrontation with Oz and talking about his warped personality, Break is an important character. So I don't think he'll die anytime soon, but he's definitely going to probably have a lot of impact on the series when he probably does die. I sense that. That's probably what's going to happen to Break. He's probably going to have a very emotional, impactful death that is going to be something that's probably going to hurt us all. If you're a first time reading this manga, it's probably going to just strike you in the heart and you're probably going to want to fucking cry, because I'm willing to bet since Break has already been introduced with a time limit, as a death time limit, we're going to probably get to connect with him a lot. We're probably going to get to connect with him to where we care about him, and when he finally does die, we're probably going to cry. You're going to see me cry like a little bitch, most likely. And that's about it. I mean, the Volume 2 of Pandora Hearts, I really love it. I love how, you know, all the different setup with the plot points, to the characters, the characterization, the intention of the Abyss, to Night Ray Gilbert. I'm liking that quite a bit. It's reminding me why I love this series in the first place. So tell me your thoughts in the comments below. You all have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.